Welcome back to Trailer Trash Flips. My name is Mac, and I sell things on eBay and a little bit on Mercari and try to make a profit. Today is Friday. It is, I think it's around 1 o'clock or so. No, it's about 12:45, so close. I'll be honest with you, I slept till 11 o'clock this morning. And, that is very late for me to be sleeping. I've talked before about the fact that I suffer from sinus issues. If it wasn't for sinus problems, which you may be able to hear it in my voice, I'd be pretty healthy. But I had some really bad sinus headaches from pretty much the whole day yesterday all the way through the night. It's not quite so bad right now, but it was rough because they're migraine status. Most of this last week, my sales have been kind of crappy. Today, they've been a little bit better. Just since yesterday afternoon, I sold 10 items for a total of $174.91. I did have a potential buyer who had a question about this wooden knife block that they wanted the width measurements on it. So I've got it out to measure that. But I do find probably at best 20% of the time buyers have questions about something, they actually come through and buy it. I would say easily 4 out of 5 times they don't end up buying whatever it is that I had to go check and measure or give them more information on. I had a cookbook, I think it was yesterday or day before, that someone had a question about, and I put all my books in the self-sealing cellophane wrappers just because, number one, I think it looks better when the buyer gets it, but number two, it helps protect it. Your pages aren't going to get jacked up, or a lot less likely to get jacked up or anything like that. So I don't wait to put the cellophane wrappers on, until it's getting shipped. After I list it, it goes in a wrapper, it goes in a bin. And like I said, I think being in a bin especially, I think these wrappers help from them potentially getting damaged. But the problem is when I put these wrappers on most of this isn't the cookbook they had a question about, this is one that I just listed, but I tape where the self-sealing part lays down. I will typically tape that down because I want the wrapper to kind of, form-fitting may not be the exact right word, but I want it to be as form-fitting as possible. And so I will tape one strip of tape over that self-sealing part to keep it all together. So basically, I have to rip that open to be able to, look inside the book. And it's not like those cellophane wrappers cost a lot of money or anything, but it's just a hassle whenever buyers have questions about things. You have to rip open the package, you find out what they want, you send them the return message with the stuff, sometimes pictures, which I did in this case, and then they're like, oh, thank you, and they just don't buy it. But I guess that just is kind of part of the game with eBay. And sometimes it's my fault because I leave things out that I really should have put in there. So now let me show you what's sold and how much it's sold for. First is a Bluey DVD, the first half of season 1, 26 stories. These came from the bin store. I've had multiples of these. They had sold okay about 1.5 years ago and they kind of just stopped selling. But I bought this for 50 cents at the bin store and it sold for $6.07 plus shipping. Next is an Airfly SC. Use your wireless headphones with any headphone jack, and I'm guessing this is for when you fly. Believe it or not, I've never flown once in my entire life. Never had the opportunity to, never had the need to, and anytime we've been on vacation, we just drive. So anyway, I bought this at the bin store for $2 and it sold for $17.90 plus shipping. I sold a vintage Japanese rice, ramen, or noodle soup bowl. This came from an estate sale, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago. And I saw a strong comp on it. I only found one that had sold for $24. And, this one was I either paid $2 or $2.50 for it. And I thought, even if I don't get $24 for it, that's still pretty good. Well, I played with the prices on my store a little bit. So this one sold a little bit cheaper than I wanted it to sell at $12.11 plus shipping. But I'm okay with that because it's still some profit, and I'm much more inclined these days to let stuff go a little cheaper just to move some inventory, especially when my sales were slow, because some of these items that I'm going to show you, I actually sent offers on, and I've been traditionally very lax about sending offers. Next is an Osterizer mini blend container. Now, this was something that a buyer had a question about. They asked, number one, if it was glass, which apparently I did not put that in the listing. I've had this listed for 2 years now. And they asked if it had handles, which, I mean, it clearly does not have handles, and you can see that in the listing, but I'm not complaining because they finally bought it. Now, the bad thing is this only sold for $2.33 plus shipping. But this is another item that I'm perfectly okay with, because I bought this item from probably the best garage sale that I have ever been to. I probably referenced it before, you know, but when you make videos, you don't always remember everything that you said. But there was one garage sale where I spent $45 and I bought just a ton of items. I bought 3 giant 55-gallon garbage bags of vintage Tupperware. Some of which, well, a lot of it I've sold. A lot of it I've sold. But I do have some of it in my death pile that I still need to get listed. I just simply haven't gotten to it yet. And I need to get that done, because those, I think they're called square round containers with the lids, they sell really good. But back to that garage sale, I paid $45 for those 3 garbage bags of vintage Tupperware, a brand new in the box handheld Arc canister vacuum, a food steamer, some really good cookbooks. I don't remember what else, but it was just a huge lot of stuff. The mom had passed away, and they just cleaned the house out. They had tables everywhere. They wanted to get rid of stuff. It was not about the money so much as they just needed to get everything out of there because they wanted to sell the house. So I got a really smoking deal on it, and this was one of the things that I got. So technically I have a couple pennies into this, and I'm glad that it's finally out of here. I sold a vintage 40 channel handheld CB transceiver. This is a white Westinghouse. I got it at an estate sale, and I paid $250 for it, I believe. And I wasn't sure that it had ever even been used. I'm still not 100% sure. I did list it as used, but it's in pristine shape. It sold for $30.32 plus shipping. This is an under cabinet recipe organizer. It's really, really vintage. Let me see if this side comes through a little better. But this is something that it just screams 1970s, and it's never been installed. I believe it had recipe cards still in the package that came with it. I don't remember if the screws were there for it, but I mean, this is something that at the estate sale, the guy said, the guy who worked at the estate sale said, you need to buy that just for the box alone. And the box isn't in great shape. I've had to tape some of these edges, but it's just something that I thought was really cool. I've never ran across these before, and it sold for $22.73 plus shipping, and I only had a couple dollars into this. Next is a vintage Mattel McDonald's French fry maker. It's the base only, and I put that in capital letters in the title and in the description because I know there are a couple other parts that normally go with this. I think you're supposed to put something in the top. You turn this handle and I don't know, something happens. But this sold for $32.15. I found it at a local thrift store, not a Goodwill, probably the only other local thrift store that I go to. And I think it was $1. It's something that had been sitting in my death pile for a year, and I finally got around to listing it. So a pretty good flip for this. I sold a tactical mount set for Splatterball. This is something that I was talking about. Well, it'll either be earlier in this video or in the last video where someone had sent me an offer for $10 for this. I had free shipping on it, and I'd had free shipping on it to keep the price competitive with the other comps that I had seen. It was originally listed for $15 or 15 and some change. Now it ended up selling for $13.32 because, like I said, I did kind of play with my numbers a little bit and my discounts. But that buyer who sent the $10 offer is probably likely the one who is responsible for me still selling it. You know, sometimes when people send an offer on something or a message about an item, you don't sell it, but then it'll sell to someone else. Well, I talked about the $10 offer and being free shipping. I just couldn't make, you know, what, like $1.50 after everything was said and done on it. But this sold for $13.33 free shipping. And as a matter of fact, this is the second international sale that I've ever gotten. So I guess it's going, I think, to Illinois or something like that. So I don't know how much the shipping is going to be on it, but I only paid 50 cents each for these at the bin store. This is the last one that I've got. I sold a pair of pants. You know, I'm not much into selling clothes, but these were such a good deal at an estate sale that I couldn't pass them up. I paid roughly $2.80 for these at an estate sale, and I sold them for $18. And this was an offer I sent out also. And the last item is another pair of the same pants that are going to a different buyer. These sold for $19.97 plus shipping. And again, I only paid like $2.80, $2.90 for each pair of these. I think both of those pairs were the used pairs that I have. I also have a brand new pair with tags that I priced up a couple dollars more that haven't sold yet. But that's everything going out today. Definitely not complaining, because again, for me, that's pretty decent sales. I'm really debating on whether I want to go to any estate sales this weekend, just because I'm really trying to work through the inventory that I already have. And even though almost the only sourcing I'm doing these days is estate sales, it's just bringing in more inventory, making it more difficult for me to get through all the stuff that I already have. Usually on Sunday, Kim's like, hey, let's go to estate sales, and I do go. There was one Sunday, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, where she was on vacation, and you know, I didn't go to any without her here. I just spent that time listing. But I know she's going to want to go to a estate sale Sunday, and I don't know. I like going to the estate sales, but I really need to figure out that point where I just need to stop bringing in inventory. Today is Monday. It's Monday afternoon. It's only a couple minutes till 3. I just got in from work. I ended up working pretty much the whole day later than I thought that I would. So I'm really going to be struggling to get my orders to the post office. I've already pretty much decided I'm not going to be able to get all my orders packed. So I'll get the oldest ones packed first and just get what I can to the post office. I've got 13 orders going out today. And I actually had one other order that I did a local pickup for. First time that I've done that Sunday. So I've got 13 orders that I'm shipping out, and total for all the orders over the weekend were $252.24. The local pickup that I did were for some gumbo plates that I picked up at an estate sale last weekend, and this buyer sent an offer for $125 for all the plates. If they had sold at full price, I would have gotten a total of $160 for them. I was not going to turn down that offer, since that means I didn't have to pack up any of these plates. I had a total of 8 of the plates, and I was trying to decide whether I wanted to lot them up into 2s, 4s, singles, or whatever. And I just decided that I would list them as singles and with a quantity of 8. I did do a volume discount of like 10%, so I guess maybe if someone bought more than one, it would have been a little less than $160 total. I paid $24 for the 8 plates, so it'd be roughly $100 before eBay fees that I got for them, and I didn't have to ship them. But I'm not sure if those plates will be included in part of this video or maybe the last one, but that's what they look like. They were pretty cool. They had I don't know if it was a lobster or a crawfish, probably a lobster, but they look close enough alike. An oyster, a shrimp, and a crab on them. So they sold super quick, because I think I only had them listed for maybe 2 days before they sold. There was a slight hiccup in the local pickup thing. It wasn't a big deal, but it was kind of inconvenient, because the buyer sent me a message Saturday, and I was like, well, look, I'm going to be out and about tomorrow around town, because I was going to estate sales. So Sunday morning came around, and she sent a message that the check engine light on her vehicle was on, so she wouldn't be able to make the trip, because she lives about an hour away. So I left the house and I went to estate sales. Well, at some point she sent me another message saying that there was nothing wrong with her car and she was going to head this way, but I didn't see the message. I had my ringer and my notifications off on my phone because I'm at estate sales, I'm comping things, and my phone is very annoying. Both the ring and the notification sounds are very annoying. If my phone is, say, in another room, I need to be able to hear the phone to get back to the customer. So that's why I've got really annoying sounds on it. But when I'm at estate sales, you know, it's very annoying to have it keep going off, and I get a ton of notifications and emails and text messages and things like that. So I turned everything off. I didn't hear her message. About an hour later, another message came through. I felt the phone vibrate, and she said, "I'm in Baton Rouge." So I'm like, well, this is not good, because I was about probably half an hour from my house, and I was on my way to an estate sale. So I responded that I would go home, get the plates, and I suggested we meet at the mall, since that's right off of the interstate. And she wasn't real familiar with this area, and the mall just seemed like a good spot that she would be passing by anyway. So I went home, got the plates, met her at the mall. It went off very seamless. She was super nice. Did the little deal where I scanned her code on her phone, and that was it. I guess the biggest problem was it cost me to not be able to go to one estate sale, because that whole thing tied up a little over an hour to go get the plates and go meet her. Because if I had the plates with me, I could have cut probably 40 minutes out the whole thing. But in the end, it was no big deal, because at least I sold the plates, didn't have to ship them, and I still found a lot of stuff this weekend at estate sales. I don't know if you can see on camera how much I'm sweating right now, but you know, I worked earlier, like I said, and I was sweating the whole time. Well, I just pulled up the weather, and it's 95 degrees with a heat index of 112. 112 degree heat index of just miserable heat and humidity. I mean, it's terrible. First item I'm shipping out, and it's the last one of these that I have, are these 2 packs of Zappit electric bug zapping rackets. I bought, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 of these about maybe a year and a half ago, and I paid $5 a piece for them, thinking that maybe I could flip them for $15. Well, I don't know if I sold any at $15. I've sold them, now this one sold for $8.68 plus shipping, so by the time everything is said and done, I'm not making much money on it. This is the cheapest one I believe that I've sold. And the reason is because I've got a new sale going, so a lot of this stuff fell under the new sales price. So it's going for a little bit less than typically I would like it to go for. But nonetheless, this was not really a great buy. And like I said, it's the last one of them. So at least it clears out spot on one of my shelves where I can maybe put some more profitable stuff. And look, I'll admit, when I first started selling on eBay, you know, if I can make $5 profit, I was buying it. I've gotten a lot better since then, but this was one of those items. Next is a pair of Adidas Originals Forum 84 men's casual shoes, sneakers, whatever. These sold for $22.77. Again, a little bit cheaper than I wanted to let them go for, but they've been sitting, I don't know, for 4 months now. Now, I don't have any money into these shoes. These came from the Goodwill bins when my ex-wife, I gotta stop myself, when my good ex-wife went to Washington to visit my son, she found these for me. So I don't have any money into these, and they are all profit. Moving from the good ex-wife to the bad ex-wife, and she's bad. The next item is a resistance band set workout kit. This was one of her items, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. It feels really good to sell her stuff, even if I'm not making any money on it. But these sold for $607 plus shipping. These were something she wanted when we were still married, and I bought them. She never used them. So they've been sitting here. They've been listed for like 2 years now. So I'm glad to see these go, and it definitely is a little better when I sell her stuff. And I'm actually losing money on this from what I paid for it, but you know, that's kind of one of those things that's in the past. So I'm looking at it positively that I'm making a couple dollars on it now. Next, I sold a waist wrap, just one of these stretchy waist wraps. This sold for $9.39 plus shipping. It came from the Amazon bin store. I only paid 50 cents for it. It's the first one of these that I've sold, and I probably have half a dozen of them. It's still a good flip at 50 cents into $9.39. I just wish they would move a little bit faster. I sold a water filter. This sold for $9.62 plus shipping, and it would have came from the bin store at either 50 cents or $1. Next, I sold a vintage 1957 Betty Crocker cookbook for boys and girls. This came from an estate sale, and I think I only paid $1 for this one because it was in bad shape. you know, I comped it at the estate sale, and the ones that were in better shape were going for double what this one went for. But when I got home, I looked at it, and I went ahead and I almost didn't list it. I almost didn't list it because it's in such bad shape, and I included that in the description. But I figured I already had I think $1 into it, so I'd go ahead and list it. So that's why it only sold for $8.48. Next, I sold the Crucifix Fish, Legend of the Crucifix Fish in original box. I did a little checking what this thing actually was, and it's actually like a head bone from a hardhead catfish. And if you don't know, a hardhead catfish is a saltwater catfish. As far as I know, people don't, well, maybe people eat them, because there's fish that I don't eat that other people eat. I used to catch hardhead catfish sometimes when I was younger, when we would go saltwater fishing, either in the boat or surf fishing, but nobody ever kept them. They said they weren't good to eat, so, you know, it's not something that I ever ate. But anyway, it kind of looks like Jesus on the cross a little bit, and then there's, you know, some words up here about, I don't know, some stuff. But anyway, I had bought 2 of these, and this one has like a piece that's broken on it, which I did show in the listing, and I made a note of it in the description. But I paid $2.50 each for these. I did not want to pay $2.50 for them because I just thought that that was a little too much. But the lady at that estate sale was giving me such smoking deals on the other items that I bought that, you know, I went ahead and just paid the $2.50. I wasn't going to haggle with her on these. But it sold for $13.74 plus shipping. Next, I sold a Monet Feathered Swirl Rhinestone Gold Brooch. Not real gold. This came, it looks really nice. This came from an estate sale that had $5 fill a bag, and I filled up a lot of bags that day. So as far as the money that I have into it, it's not very much. I mean, pennies. But it sold for $5 plus shipping, and it was an offer that I sent out. Next, I sold a set of DC Comics Lego Superheroes Justice League movies. There's 2 in here. They're new sealed, and each one of them has a little Lego figure in it. You can't see the back one, but I bought these from Dollar Tree, believe it or not, for $1.25 each. So I've got $2.50 plus tax into these, and they sold for $12 plus shipping, and that was also an item that I sent an offer out on. The next item I sold is this white ceramic 3-compartment appetizer tray. I want to say I paid $2.50 for this, and it sold for $5.19, so I'm really not making any money. But I didn't buy this originally to resell. I bought it for myself, and I thought this would be nice to have just for myself, not for any party or anything, because I eat by myself most of the time. But I just thought it would be neat to have. But it was really just adding more clutter in my kitchen, and I never ended up using it, so I listed it and sold it. The next item that sold are some Gremlings. It's a Fingerlings Gremlings Junkyard. Well, I thought it might have said Junkyard Dog, but it just says Junkyard. I had never seen these before. I found these at the bin store. Well, I found this one at the bin store, and it was either 50 cents or $1, so I picked it up. It's been sitting over a year. I just remember when I was looking for these, like, I just didn't find a whole lot on them. So I thought that it might do a little better. Well, again, this is another item that got caught up in my sale. So it sold for $6.07, no complaints. It's not very much profit in here, but at least it's finally gone. I sold a Hoppe's Boar Snake. This one is for .22, .223, and .556 caliber. Normally, this is the kind of thing that I just keep. I actually have one like this already, and it's in fine working condition, so I listed this one. Now, I'm having a hard time remembering where I got this, and I haven't had it very long because it came in with some stuff that I listed last week. So I'm guessing it came from an estate sale. I just, for whatever reason, I'm having a blank on which estate sale it came from, and I'm usually pretty good about remembering where everything came from, and for the most part how much I paid for it, but I can't remember. And I haven't been to the bin store, and I haven't been to any garage sales, so it had to have come from an estate sale. And something like this, I'm not usually going to pay more than $1 or $2 for, but it sold for $5.13 plus shipping. And the last item, or at least I think it's the last item, was this New Era Arizona Diamondbacks MLB hat. I don't sell a whole lot of caps or anything, but this one was brand new. I picked it up from a garage sale. I don't remember exactly how much I paid. I bought several caps from that garage sale, and I did negotiate a little on the price because they were a little bit higher than what I wanted to pay. It may have been $3 or $4 a piece. This one, it's been sitting for a little bit of time. I ended up selling it for $15 plus shipping on an offer that I sent. The only other thing that sold were the gumbo plates that I showed you earlier, and that was a big chunk of my sales there at $125. Most of this other stuff is, you know, little things. $5 and something. $5. $5 and something. So I'm not complaining because I am getting sales, and you know, enough $5 items and they add up. Me and my friend Kim were talking about that the other day. But one person in particular was saying how they don't want to list anything under $20. So, and I get that. I see, you know, a lot of people talking about, I don't list anything under $15, $20, whatever. So we were discussing that situation. Now, she has traditionally been a little more discriminating than I am. There are things that we go to estate sales and she'll find it. She's like, this is $2. I comped it. It's only worth $15. Do you want it? And depending on what it is, I may say yes or no. But she doesn't want to put $2 into something that's only going to sell for $15. And I'm not saying she's wrong. It's just different. I don't know if it's different business models, but different ideas, whatever it is, between stuff that I'll buy and stuff that she buys and stuff that other people buy. But, you know, let's take the $20 thing. Like this person said, I don't want to list anything under $20. Okay. Again, I'm not saying that that's wrong. When we were talking about it, I was using an example of, let's say you can buy something for $2 and list it for $20. Okay. Well, that fits, you know, you're buying it at a really low cost and it fits into your minimum $20, you know, idea of what you want to list stuff for. But let's say that I can buy something for $1 and sell it for maybe $10 or $12. Well, if it's an easy to list item and it's going to take you 3 or 4, maybe 5 minutes to list it, to me, there's not a whole lot of difference in spending, say, 5 minutes buying something for $1 and selling it for $10, or spending 5 minutes to buy something for $2 and selling it for $20. Now, in a perfect world, I would say $20 is way too low. I want to buy things for $1 and sell them for $100. But that's not a reality. As resellers, everybody has different sets of circumstances and they have different ways of sourcing. So yeah, it's great if you can buy stuff for $1 and sell it for $100. But in the real world, you source what you can and you sell it for what you can. So me personally, I was on that bandwagon a while back about, okay, I didn't have a specific number, but I didn't want to buy things under a certain amount of money, and I still don't. So if I can buy something for $1 and sell it for $10 or $12, I'm going to do that all day long if it's an item that I can list fast. And I've said a bunch of times, these Amazon bin store items, most of them are very fast listers. A lot faster than a lot of the stuff that I buy from estate sales where I got to do research, comp it, clean it. You know, I mean, that there are items that I might get 2 items listed an hour some days with this estate sale stuff, where I could probably get 15 or 20 bin store items listed in that same amount of time. So I don't put as much emphasis on a minimum price that I want to list stuff for. I'm more focused on the whole of the situation, like how much that I paid for the item, how much I can sell it for, and how long it's going to take me to list. That's a big one for me, especially as a part-timer who doesn't always have as much time to list as many items as I would like. Today, I did list 2 items out of my draft bank, but I'm not going to be able to sit and do any listings. It's already 4 o'clock. So I'm going to get a minimal amount of orders to the post office before they close. I'm going to come back home. I'm going to pack the rest of these orders, and I have to work tonight. And you know, that's hard to do because by the time I get back, I got to cook something to eat and it's going to be time to go to bed. So I'm not going to get anything listed today other than some items out of my draft bank. So for me, fast listing items, even if they're lower value, are something that I'm still going to source at least to some degree. So let me get all this stuff packed up, get what I can to the post office. So that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. As always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video.